You know that feeling, right? Payday hits, you see the number in your bank app, feel good for like a second.
And then poof.
Exactly. It's just gone.
Hmm.
Rent, food, which seems to cost more every single week, bills. Maybe that impulse buy you kind of regret now.
Uh-huh. And suddenly you're looking at your balance thinking, where did it all actually go? It's super common.
It really is. And that's exactly what the source we're looking at today tackles. It's called How to Budget Your Salary in Your 20s. No BS guide.
Love the no BS part because, yeah, that frustration is real for a lot of us in our 20s.
Totally. So that's our deep dive today. This guide seems really practical, like no fluff, just straightforward advice on getting a handle on your salary.
Right, moving away from that constant I'm broke feeling.
Our mission, let's say, is to pull out those key strategies so you can actually feel in control of your money.
Think of it like getting a financial roadmap, not just seeing where money goes, but actually deciding the route.
Okay, so the guide kicks off by mentioning something I think most people can relate to. Nobody really, sits you down and teaches you how to manage money, do they?
No, it's kind of wild when you think about it. It's such a vital life skill, but formal education on it, often missing.
So you just have to figure it out as you go along.
Yeah, learn by doing, which sometimes means learning through expensive mistakes.
Definitely been there. And this is where budgeting comes in. Now, budget, that word scares people, I think. It sounds like restriction, like you can't have any fun.
It does have that reputation, doesn't it? But the guide frames it differently, more positively.
Wow.
It's less about saying no constantly and more about being proactive, deciding beforehand where your money should work for you. The guide actually says giving every rupee a job.
I like that. Giving every rupee a job makes it sound active, intentional.
Exactly. So instead of your cash just drifting away, you're directing it to needs, wants, savings, whatever your priorities are. It's about control.
Okay, so how do we start giving our money these jobs? The guide brings up a method, the 50-30-20 rule. Sounds simple enough.
It's presented as a really good starting point, super accessible. Basically, you take your income after tax.
Right, the money that actually hits your account.
Precisely. And you divide it. 50% goes to your needs.
Needs being the absolute essentials. Rent, groceries, utilities, transport to work,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff.
Exactly. The must-haves, things you genuinely can't or shouldn't skip. The guide lists rent, food, bills as the core ones.
Got it. 50% for needs, then what?
Then 30% is allocated for your wants.
Ah, the fun stuff. Netflix, going out, maybe that gym membership you swear you'll use more.
Haha, yes. Discretionary spending, things that improve your quality of life but aren't, strictly speaking, essential for survival. Entertainment, hobbies, eating out.
It's important to know the difference, I guess. Like you need food, but maybe not take out 3 times a week. That crosses into want.
That's the distinction, yeah. Be honest about what's a need versus a nice to have.
Okay, 50% needs, 30% wants. That leaves 20%.
And that 20% is crucial. It's for savings and paying down debt.
So building your future self-security and tackling past borrowing.
Exactly. This bucket covers putting money aside for goals short-term, like a holiday, or long-term, like retirement, building your emergency fund, which we'll get to, and paying off loans, credit cards, things like that.
The guide used an example, didn't it? With LKR 100,000 income.
It did, yeah, made it really concrete.
Hmm.
So LKR 100,000 per month means LKR 50,000 for needs,
Okay,
LKR 30,000 for wants,
right.
and LKR 20,000 for savings and debt. Seeing the numbers helps it click.
Definitely. But is that rule rigid? What if your rent alone eats up way more than 50%?
That's a great point. The guide stresses it's a guideline, a starting point. Your personal situation matters hugely. High cost of living area, major debt, you might need to adjust.
So maybe your needs are 60%.
Then you'd need to look really hard at that 30% wants category first. See where you can trim before you sacrifice the 20% savings, ideally.
Okay, makes sense. Flexibility is key. Now, to even know if you're close to 50-30-20, you need to know where the money is actually going, which leads to the next point in the guide, tracking.
Ah, yes, tracking, the foundation. The guide puts it bluntly. You can't fix what you don't track.
Pretty direct, but true. It's easy to think you know, but the reality can be surprising.
Totally. You might estimate you spend X on coffee, but tracking shows it's actually Y, and Y is significantly higher. Those small leaks add up.
The guide specifically mentions tracking everything, even the LKR 150 snacks. Those little things we barely notice.
Exactly. That daily snack, the quick drink here, the small online purchase there. Individually tiny, but together. They can make a real dent without you realizing. Tracking brings it all into the light.
So how do they suggest we do this? Keep a giant shoebox of receipts? That sounds awful.
No, thankfully. Much easier ways now. Budgeting apps are great. The guide mentions Wallet and Spendy. You can just log expenses on your phone right away.
Okay, that's manageable.
Or, if you prefer, just a simple spreadsheet. Excel, Google Sheets, whatever works. Set up columns for date, item, category, cost.
So digital is probably the way to go for consistency.
It usually is. And the point isn't just to collect data, right? It's about awareness. Once you see the real numbers.
Then you can actually see where maybe you're overspending or where you could cut back.
Precisely. It empowers you to make informed adjustments. You can't manage what you don't measure.
Which flows perfectly into the next bit. Identifying and cutting unnecessary expenses. Or as the guide puts it, trimming the fat.
Right. This requires some honest self-reflection. Looking at your tracked spending and asking, was this really necessary? Did this align with my goals or values?
It can be tough, that honesty.
It can, but it's where real change happens. The guide gives common examples like unused subscriptions. We all have those, right?
Guilty. Sign up for a free trial, forgot to cancel.
Happens all the time. Or the daily fancy coffee habit versus making it at home. Or relying too much on food delivery on weekends.
Little habits that just creep up.
Yeah, and the guide highlights how small cuts add up massively. It gave that example, cutting just LKR 500 a day.
Saves over LKR 15,000 a month. That's not small change at all.
Not at all. That could be a significant boost to your savings or debt repayment. It really drives home the point.
There's a good analogy too. Small leaks sink big ships. Patch them early.
Love that. It perfectly captures how seemingly minor overspending can really damage your long-term financial health if you don't address it.
Okay, so we're tracking, we're trimming. What about preparing for the unexpected? The guide talks about an emergency fund.
Yes, the financial safety net. Crucial because life, well, it happens.
Definitely. Things go wrong, cars break down, unexpected medical stuff comes up.
Job loss, unfortunately, can happen too. An emergency fund is what stops these events from becoming full-blown financial crises.
It's easy to put off, though, especially in your 20s when maybe money feels tight already.
Understandable. But the guide suggests starting small, even saving, say, LKR 5,000 a month consistently towards it. Just start building the habit.
And the goal. How much should you aim for?
The standard recommendation, which the guide echoes, is 3 to 6 months worth of essential living expenses.
Wow, okay. That sounds like a lot,
Yeah.
but I guess it gives you real breathing room if something major happens.
It really does. It buys you time and options without resorting to high-interest debt.
And the guide says to keep it separate, right? Not just lumped into your regular checking account.
Absolutely key. Put it in a separate, easily accessible savings account. Accessible enough for emergencies, but not so accessible you dip into it for non-emergencies.
Treat it like a real safety net, only for breaking your fall.
Precisely. Peace of mind in a bank account, basically.
Okay, tracking, trimming, emergency fund. What else does this no BS guide suggest for getting salary management right?
One really powerful strategy it highlights is automating your savings, using tech to make saving easier.
Automating, how does that work? Like setting up an automatic transfer.
Exactly that. The minute your salary hits your main account, set up an automatic transfer to move your target savings amount, that 20% from the rule, or whatever you've decided straight into your savings or investment accounts.
Ah, so you pay yourself first, literally, before you even have a chance to spend it.
You got it. It flips the script. Instead of saving what's left at the end of the month, which is often,
Nothing.
right, you save first, and then you adjust your spending based on what remains. It takes the willpower out of the equation, mostly.
That sounds incredibly effective, actually. Less thinking, more saving.
It really is. Leverage that automation.
So pulling this all together, the big picture here isn't that budgeting is about punishment or missing out.
Not at all. The guide paints it as the opposite. It's about freedom.
Freedom. How so?
Freedom from financial stress, freedom from living paycheck to paycheck, freedom to actually plan for things you want in the future, knowing you can afford them. It's empowering.
Yeah, reducing that constant worry about money must be huge. Gaining control.
That's the core message. Taking control, making conscious choices, reducing anxiety, and building towards your goals.
And to help with that practical side, the guide offers a free budget tracker people can use.
It does, which is great. A tangible tool to get started. We should definitely put a link to that in the show notes for everyone.
Absolutely, making it easy to take that first step.
Because that's what it's about, isn't it? Just starting, applying these principles.
So for everyone listening, what works for you? Any budgeting hacks or rules you live by? Let us know. You know the drill. Like, subscribe, and definitely share your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear them.
And really, the final thought is just that. Taking charge of your salary, understanding it, directing it purposefully through budgeting, and making saving a priority. That's the bedrock. It's the first, most vital step towards financial well-being and actually making those dreams you have for the future happen.